Well, the Rockefeller drug laws were considered draconian, racist, and ineffective, but they were the law of the land for 31 years. And Liz Bishop joins us now with tonight's CBS6 Rewind. Liz.
JT, America has struggled for decades with the right way to tackle drug use in this country. Before the Just Say No era of the 80s came the strictest drug laws in the country, enacted right here in New York State. And that's my Rewind tonight.
It was an unanticipated horror of the war in Vietnam. Young soldiers finding relief from the terrors of combat with stimulants and sedatives. The Pentagon reported in 1973 that 1 in 5 U.S. soldiers had a heroin habit at a time when back home, the counterculture was using drugs to turn on, tune in, and drop out. Worried about the impact this would have on America's youth, in 1971, Richard Nixon led the battle cry against what he called public enemy number one.
In order to fight and defeat this enemy, it is necessary to wage a new all-out offensive.
2 years later, New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller, tinkering with the idea of running for president, jumped into the fray with both feet.
We've come to the conclusion that nothing less than a total mobilization of the community effort will suffice in meeting this problem.
On May 8, 1973, at the state capitol in Albany, Rockefeller made history. Some say with the stroke of a pen, he ruined thousands of lives, signing into law what would forever after be known as the Rockefeller drug laws. Fulton County Sheriff Rich Giardino is a former judge whose job it was to adjudicate those cases. The laws filled prisons with young minority men and women arrested for possession of a small amount of drugs. He says the law did not differentiate between the violent drug user and the non-violent.
If you sold it, you're arrested, you're charged, and you're going to prison.
In a state where marijuana use and sale is now legal, it's hard to imagine that the penalty for selling 2 ounces or more or possessing 4 ounces or more of heroin, morphine, cocaine, opium, or cannabis was 15 to 25 years to life in prison, giving New York at the time the toughest drug laws in the country. While initially very popular, it soon became clear that the drug laws did not distribute punishment equally, singling out the poor and marginalized. But it was a long, slow process to undo their impact. In 1977, then Governor Hugh Carey repealed the section of the laws that applied to marijuana. In 2004, then Governor George Pataki signed the Drug Law Reform Act into law, replacing Rockefeller's iron-fisted approach to drug use and sale with a more moderate, determinate system that put a higher priority on treatment.
The Pataki reforms reduced the minimum sentence for the most serious drug charge from 15 years to life to 8 to 20 years in prison. And it wasn't until legislative reforms enacted in 2009, though, that the Rockefeller drug laws were essentially dismantled once and for all.